welcome. Thank you for choosing to settle in and share this time with me. Find a comfortable space, allow your breath to deepen, and let the world outside gently fade. My name is Silas, and I find a quiet joy in journeying, not just to see new places, but to feel them, to listen to their unique rhythms, and to gather moments of stillness aboard my traveling home. The Wanderer. It's a slow way to travel, perhaps, but one that allows for reflection and appreciation of the subtle details that often pass unnoticed. My journeys aboard the train have carried me through such wonderfully different atmospheres, from the vibrant, sun-drenched streets of Buenos Aires to the quiet majesty of the fjords surrounding Bergen and the intoxicating maze of the souks in Marrakesh. I remember the rich, earthy scent of spices and leather in Marrakesh, a sensory tapestry that was both overwhelming and beautiful. That memory stirs in me now as the Wanderer glides across the Thracian plain. I wonder if the bazaars of Istanbul will offer a similar intensity, or if the scent will be different, perhaps tempered by the salt of the sea. Through the window, the rolling hills are giving way to the first signs of the great city, a distant silhouette of domes and minarets against the horizon. Shah. In the chapters ahead, as we explore Istanbul, I am not seeking its grand monuments so much as its quiet whispers. I'm curious to listen to how the ancient melodic call to prayer weaves itself into the modern sounds of the city. The cry of seagulls and the low horn of the ferries on the Bosphorus. I look forward to the simple ritual of koi, finding a small garden to sit with a tulip-shaped glass of tea, watching the constant, silent passage of ships between two continents. And I hope to stumble upon a hidden courtyard, a historic hall, where the rhythmic tap of a coppersmith's hammer might tell a story older than any guidebook. This is an invitation to slow down with me, to observe these moments, and to find a measure of peace in the present, just as I seek to do. Let the gentle sounds of the journey soothe you as we arrive and begin to explore the layered atmosphere of Istanbul together. If you find comfort and tranquility in sharing these experiences, perhaps consider liking this recording or subscribing to the channel to join me as the journey continues. For now, let us begin. Chapter 1. Across the Thracian Plain. The gentle, rhythmic rocking of the Wanderer is a familiar comfort, a constant companion that has cradled me across continents. Outside the large panoramic window of my carriage, the landscape of Thrace unfolds in a tapestry of muted greens and sun-bleached yellows. The vast, open plains of the European continent are giving way to something more textured, more ancient. Low, rolling hills rise and fall like the slow breaths of a sleeping giant, their slopes dotted with the bright, cheerful faces of sunflowers, their heads bowed as if in quiet prayer. I watch them pass, a sea of gold under the vast, pale blue sky. I lift the small, delicate glass of sage tea to my lips. The fragrant steam warms my face, carrying an earthy, clean scent that seems to belong to this very landscape. The taste is subtle, a whisper of the wild herbs that grow on these hillsides, and it grounds me in the present moment. My well-worn leather satchel rests on the seat beside me, its familiar weight a reassuring presence. Inside, my notebook and camera wait patiently, silent partners in this slow exploration of the world. For now, though, I am content to simply observe, to let the scenery wash over me without the need to capture or define it. The train car itself is a haven of quiet. The polished wood paneling gleams with a soft, warm light, reflecting the passing scenery in distorted, elongated shapes. The soft hum of the engine is a constant, soothing undertone to the steady clickety-clack of the wheels on the tracks, a sound that has become the background music to my life. I run a hand over the smooth, cool surface of the brass window frame, a small anchor to the physical reality of my moving home. It is in these moments of transit, suspended between where I have been and where I am going, that I often feel the most at peace. My thoughts drift, following the path of a lone hawk circling high above a distant field. I think about the ancient routes that lie beneath these modern steel tracks, the paths of Roman legions, of Byzantine traders, of Ottoman armies. This land is layered with history, and I feel as if the wanderer is not just moving across space, but also through time. The journey itself becomes a form of reverence, a way of paying homage to the countless souls who have traversed this bridge between worlds long before me. It is a humbling thought to be but a single fleeting observer in such a long and storied procession. As the afternoon deepens, the quality of the light begins to change. The sun, lower in the sky, now casts long, soft shadows that stretch across the hills, accentuating their gentle curves. The air outside seems to thicken, taking on a hazy golden quality. Slowly, the rural emptiness begins to be punctuated by signs of settlement. A small farmhouse with a plume of smoke rising from its chimney, a shepherd guiding his flock along a dusty track, the humble minaret of a village mosque peeking out from behind a stand of cypress trees. Each is a small story, a brief vignette glimpsed from my window. The approach to a great city is always a gradual thing. It does not announce itself with a sudden roar, but with a slow crescendo. The small farmhouses become more frequent, clustering into villages. The dusty tracks widen into paved roads where the occasional car glints in the sun. I feel the energy of the landscape shifting, a subtle vibration that travels through the floor of the train and into the soles of my feet. The quiet solitude of the plains is receding, making way for the complex, overlapping rhythms of millions of lives lived in close proximity. I lean my head against the cool glass of the window, watching the first true suburbs of Istanbul begin to slide past. The buildings are simple, modern blocks, but even here, there is life and color. A string of laundry flutters from a balcony. A child kicks a ball in a small patch of green. An old man sits on a plastic chair, simply watching the world go by. These are the quiet, everyday moments that form the true fabric of a place, the details that I am always seeking. A faint silhouette appears on the distant horizon, a shape so iconic that it feels more like a memory than a new sight. A cluster of domes and slender minarets etched against the pale, dusky sky. Istanbul, the name itself, feels heavy with the weight of centuries. Byzantium, Constantinople, a city of emperors and sultans. The sight sends a quiet thrill through me, not of excitement, but of profound, respectful curiosity. The train begins to slow, its rhythmic pulse softening. I take a final sip of my now cool tea and place the empty glass on the small wooden table. I do not reach for my camera or my notebook just yet. This moment of arrival is too precious to be mediated. It is something to be absorbed, to be felt. The journey across the Thracian plain is ending, and a new one through the soft, spice-scented streets of Istanbul is about to begin. Chapter 2. The Echo of Sirkeci. The final gentle sigh of the train's brakes announces our arrival. We glide into Sirkeci station not with a jolt, but with a slow, respectful halt, as if the wanderer itself is paying deference to this historic ground. For a moment, I remain in my seat, watching the platform slide into perfect stillness outside my window. This is the fabled terminus of the Orient Express, a place steeped in romance and intrigue, and its atmosphere is palpable even before I step outside. The light filtering through the station's high arched windows is soft and diffused, painting the scene in sepia tones. I sling my leather satchel over my shoulder, its familiar weight settling comfortably against my hip. Stepping down from the carriage, my feet meet the solid worn stone of the platform. I take a deep breath, and the air is different here. It's a complex blend of diesel, steam, and something else, a faint, briny scent of the sea carried on the breeze. I look up, my gaze tracing the intricate ironwork of the roof and the beautiful faded colors of the stained glass windows that depict whirling dervishes and floral motifs. The station is not crowded, but filled with a gentle, purposeful murmur of travelers and greetings. Instead of heading for a taxi, I follow the signs for the ferry, a short walk from the station. The path leads me out into the open air of the Eminönü waterfront, and the sensory world of Istanbul rushes in. The cry of seagulls is sharp and clear overhead. The smell of roasted chestnuts and grilled corn from street vendors' carts mingles with the salty tang of the Bosphorus. The sheer energy of the place is immense, yet it doesn't feel overwhelming. It feels alive, a city breathing with the rhythm of the water that is its heart. I board a small white ferry, finding a spot on the open-air upper deck. The wooden bench is smooth and weathered by sun and sea. As the boat pulls away from the dock with a low thrum of its engine, the view that opens up before me is breathtaking. To my left is the old city, a postcard come to life. The grand dome of the Hagia Sophia and the 6 slender minarets of the Blue Mosque dominate the skyline, their silhouettes timeless against the afternoon sky. The sprawling Topkapi Palace sits nestled amongst lush greenery, its walls whispering stories of sultans and empires. The ferry moves across the mouth of the Golden Horn, a gentle breeze ruffling my hair. The water is a deep, dark blue, crisscrossed by the wakes of other boats, fishing vessels, private yachts, and other public ferries, all plying their routes in a complex, unchoreographed ballet. I watch a flock of seagulls follow our wake, their calls a constant, wild soundtrack to the journey. This short voyage feels like a perfect introduction to the city, a moment of transition that allows me to see it not from its streets, but from its soul, the water. We dock on the other side in Karakoy, and from there I find my way toward the neighborhood of Cihangir. The transition is immediate. I leave the bustling waterfront behind and begin to climb a steep, narrow street. The architecture changes, shifting from monumental stone to more intimate European-style apartment buildings from the 19th and early 20th centuries. They stand shoulder to shoulder, their facades painted in soft, faded colors, adorned with small wrought iron balconies. It is quieter here, the city's roar softening to a gentle hum. The apartment I have rented is on the third floor of one such building. There is no elevator, only a winding staircase with worn marble steps. The air in the stairwell is cool and smells faintly of lemon polish and old wood. Each step upwards feels like a step further away from the city's pulse and closer to a quiet sanctuary. I find the door with a small tarnished brass number on it and turn the old-fashioned key in the lock. Inside, the space is simple and filled with light. A small living area, a tiny kitchen, and a bedroom with a large window. The floors are dark, polished wood, and a colorful woven kilim rug lies in the center of the room. It feels immediately peaceful, a calm port in the beautiful swirling storm of the city outside. I drop my satchel onto a comfortable-looking armchair, the journey from the station complete. I walk to the large window in the bedroom and push it open. The sounds and smells of the neighborhood drift in. The clinking of small tulip-shaped tea glasses and the low murmur of conversation from a cafe across the street. The soft padding of a cat's paws on the cobblestones below. And in the distance, carried on the wind from the old city, the first notes of the evening call to prayer begin to rise, a sound that is at once haunting and profoundly peaceful. I have arrived. Chapter 3. A room with a view of Asia. The first morning in a new place always has a unique quality. The light is unfamiliar, the sounds are different, and the air itself seems to have a new texture. I wake slowly in my Cihangir apartment, not to an alarm, but to the gentle, diffused light filtering through the thin white curtains. It's a soft, pearly light, reflecting off the pale walls and giving the room a serene, ethereal glow. For a moment, I simply lie still, listening to the city waking up below my window. It's not a cacophony, but a gentle layering of sounds. The distant rumble of a tram, the cheerful greeting of neighbors, the ubiquitous cry of a seagull. And I get up and pad across the cool, smooth wooden floor to the small kitchen. The apartment is sparsely but thoughtfully furnished. Everything feels chosen, not just placed. I fill a small copper pot, a sisve, with water and a spoonful of finely ground coffee, a small bag of which was left for me on the counter. I heat it slowly on the small stove, watching as the dark foam begins to rise. The rich, slightly bitter aroma of Turkish coffee fills the small space, a scent that is both invigorating and comforting. With my small cup of coffee in hand, I begin the slow ritual of unpacking. I don't empty my entire bag, but just take out the essentials, creating a small pocket of familiarity in this new environment. My worn notebook and a favorite pen are placed on the small wooden desk by the window. My camera comes out of its protective case and is set beside them. I hang a light jacket on a hook by the door. These simple actions are a way of claiming the space, of making this temporary room feel, for a little while, like home. The main feature of the apartment is the small wrought iron balcony that juts out from the living area overlooking the steep, tree-lined street. I slide open the glass doors and step outside. The morning air is cool and fresh, carrying the scent of blooming jasmine from a nearby garden and the faint, delicious smell of baking bread. Below me, the neighborhood is coming to life. A man carries a wide tray of fresh simmet on his head, calling out in a melodic voice. A group of cats, the undisputed rulers of Cihangir, are sunning themselves on a nearby rooftop. From this small perch, I have an incredible view. The street slopes down toward the Bosphorus, and between the rooftops of the buildings opposite, I can see a wide, shimmering expanse of the strait. On the other side, the green hills of the Asian continent rise up, dotted with houses and mosques. It's a view that encapsulates the very essence of Istanbul, a city not just built on two continents, but one that lives and breathes the space between them. I watch a massive container ship glide silently down the strait, a modern giant moving along an ancient waterway. I settle into a small chair on the balcony, my coffee cup warm in my hands. I don't feel the urge to rush out and explore, to tick things off a list. The beauty of this journey is in the slow absorption, the quiet observation. Cihangir itself feels like a place that encourages this pace. It's known as a neighborhood for artists, writers, and thinkers, and it has a relaxed, bohemian atmosphere that feels a world away from the tourist hubs just across the Golden Horn. It's a place for lingering in cafes, for browsing dusty antique shops, and for simply watching the world go by. My gaze falls upon the intricate details of the building across the street. The faded paint, the elegant curve of the window frames, the small pots of red geraniums that add a splash of vibrant color to a weathered facade. Every surface seems to hold a story. I think about the generations of people who have lived behind these windows, who have stood on these balconies and looked out at this same timeless view of the Bosphorus. It's a profound connection to the past, felt not in a museum, but in the living, breathing architecture of the city. A little later, I hear it again, the sound that had welcomed me last night. The midday call to prayer begins, a single voice rising from a nearby minaret. It is soon joined by another and then another from mosques across the water and up the hill, creating a complex, overlapping chorus that echoes through the city. It's a sound of immense beauty and power, a thread that weaves through the daily fabric of Istanbul, calling for a moment of pause and reflection. It's a reminder that this is a city of deep spiritual roots. I finish my coffee. The thick grounds settled at the bottom of the cup. The sun is higher now, warming the iron of the balcony railing under my hand. I feel a sense of profound contentment. This small room with its simple comforts and its extraordinary view is the perfect haven. It is a quiet space from which to venture out and a peaceful place to return to. My first day has not yet truly begun, but in this quiet morning observation, I feel I have already connected with the soul of the city. Chapter 4. A Mountain of Saffron. After a quiet morning of settling in, I feel a gentle pull to explore. I don't set out with a map or a firm destination, but simply let my feet guide me downhill from Cihangir towards the water and the old city. My goal is formless, but my senses are leading me towards the source of the scents I caught on the breeze yesterday. The promise of spice and history. My well-worn leather satchel is light on my shoulder, containing only my notebook, my camera, and a bottle of water. I am traveling light, open to whatever the day presents. The walk takes me across the Galata Bridge, a journey in itself. I pause halfway across, leaning on the railing, watching the fishermen with their long lines dangling into the water below. The view from here is a perfect panorama. The old city skyline to my right, the Galata Tower behind me, and the endless traffic of ferries on the Bosphorus all around. The air is thick with the smell of the sea and the excited cries of the gulls that swoop and dive for scraps of bread. It's a place of constant motion, a true artery of the city. On the other side, I enter the district of Eminonu, and the atmosphere shifts. The streets are narrower, more crowded, a vibrant maze of shops and stalls. I navigate the throng, not with impatience, but with a kind of detached observation, a small quiet boat in a bustling river. I soon find the entrance to the place my senses were seeking, the Spice Bazaar, or Sirkeci. Stepping inside is like stepping into another world. The sunlight from outside is replaced by a warm, dim glow, and the air becomes thick, heavy, and intoxicatingly fragrant. The bazaar is an L-shaped building, its arched ceilings painted with faded patterns. The air is a symphony of smells that is almost overwhelming at first. I take a moment to just stand and breathe it all in, trying to isolate the individual notes. There is the earthy, pungent aroma of cumin and turmeric, the sweet, warm scent of cinnamon and clove, the sharp citrusy tang of sumac, and the delicate floral perfume of dried rosebuds. It's a sensory map of the East, concentrated under one roof. I begin to walk slowly, letting my eyes feast on the colors. The stalls are piled high with mountains of spices, creating a landscape of deep reds, vibrant oranges, rich browns, and sunny yellows. Pyramids of jewel-toned Turkish delight, dusted with powdered sugar, sit gleaming in glass cases. Strings of dried aubergines and red peppers hang like rustic chandeliers. The merchants call out not aggressively, but with a practiced, gentle charm, offering samples on small wooden spoons. I stop at a stall that seems to glow with a particularly intense color. It is a mountain of deep red threads, impossibly fine and delicate, Saffron. The merchant, a kind-faced man with laugh lines around his eyes, sees my interest. He picks up a single tiny thread with a pair of tweezers and holds it out for me to smell. The aroma is subtle but complex, a little sweet, a little bitter, with hints of honey and hay. It smells like concentrated sunshine. I buy a small, carefully wrapped packet, the gesture feeling more like acquiring a precious jewel than a simple spice. My journey continues past barrels of loose-leaf teas, apple, pomegranate, sage, and linden flower. I see heaps of nuts and dried fruits, glistening apricots, dark, wrinkled figs, and pistachios of the most vibrant green. I pause to admire the intricate patterns on the hand-painted ceramic bowls and the beautiful, ornate copper spice grinders. Each object tells a story of craftsmanship, of tradition, of a connection to the earth and its bounty. I am not here as a consumer, but as an observer. I use my camera sparingly, preferring to capture the images in my mind. I focus on the small details, the way the light catches a pile of rock salt, making it sparkle like diamonds. The focused expression on a merchant's face as he carefully weighs out a customer's purchase. The soft, papery texture of a dried hibiscus flower. These are the moments that truly capture the essence of the place. Finally, feeling pleasantly saturated with sensations, I emerge from the other end of the bazaar, blinking in the bright sunlight. The air outside feels thin and clean after the rich density within. I find a stone bench in a small square and sit for a moment, my small purchases, the saffron and few fragrant sticks of cinnamon, safe in my satchel. The experience was not just a visit to a market. It was a deep sensory immersion into the heart of a culture, a reminder that the simplest things, the spices that flavor our food, can carry the most profound stories of history, trade, and faraway lands. Chapter 5. Beneath the Blue Domes. The next day, I decide to visit a place that is not hidden, but is in fact one of the most famous silhouettes in the world. I walk from the Spice Bazaar area up the gentle slope towards Sultanahmet Square, the historic heart of the old city. The square itself is a beautiful open space with fountains and gardens, but it is flanked by two of the most significant structures in human history, the Hagia Sophia and the Sultanahmet Mosque. Today, my destination is the latter, known to the world as the Blue Mosque. Even from the outside, its scale is breathtaking. A cascade of domes, one flowing into the next, seems to rise organically from the ground, flanked by 6 slender, elegant minarets that pierce the sky. I walk into the large outer courtyard, a space designed to humble the visitor before they even enter the place of worship. I join the quiet line of other visitors, listening to the soft murmur of many different languages, all hushed in reverence for the place we are about to enter. Following the custom, I remove my shoes at the entrance, placing them in the small plastic bag provided. The act itself is a small ritual of transition, of leaving the dusty, profane world outside and preparing to enter a sacred space. I step from the cool stone of the entranceway onto the carpet inside, and the feeling is immediate. The ground beneath my feet is unexpectedly, profoundly soft. A vast, deep red carpet patterned with stylized tulips stretches out in every direction, covering the entire floor of the immense prayer hall. My first instinct is to look up. The effect is dizzying in the most wonderful way. The main dome, massive and seemingly weightless, soars high above me, appearing to float on a circle of light from the windows at its base. From it, smaller semi-domes cascade downwards, creating an interior landscape of curves and arches that is both architecturally brilliant and deeply calming. The sense of space is immense, designed to make one feel small but not insignificant, part of something larger than oneself. And then I see why it is called the Blue Mosque. The upper levels of the interior and the domes themselves are covered in more than 20,000 handmade ceramic tiles from the city of Iznik. They are painted in intricate floral and geometric patterns, and the dominant color is a vibrant, luminous blue that gives the entire space a serene, aquatic glow. The light filtering through the 260 stained glass windows illuminates the tiles, making them shimmer and change color as the sun moves across the sky. I walk slowly, my socked feet sinking into the plush carpet. The air is cool and still, and the sounds from the bustling square outside are completely muted. All that can be heard is the soft whisper of other visitors and the occasional quiet click of a camera. I find a spot near one of the massive elephant foot pillars that support the main dome and simply sit down on the floor, leaning my back against its cool, solid surface. From this vantage point, I can take in the full grandeur of the space without feeling rushed. Say, I watch other people. Some are clearly tourists, their faces filled with awe as they try to capture the scale of the place with their cameras. Others are here to pray. They move to the front section, their movements fluid and graceful as they kneel and bow in quiet devotion. The mosque is both a monument and a living, breathing place of worship, and the two functions coexist in perfect harmony. It is a space that welcomes all, offering a moment of peace to anyone who enters. I stay for a long time, my thoughts quiet. I am not a religious person, but it is impossible to sit in a space like this and not feel a sense of the spiritual. It is a testament to the human capacity to create beauty, to build something that transcends the everyday and reaches for the divine. The intricate patterns of the tiles, the perfect geometry of the domes, the masterful use of light, it is all designed to lift the human spirit, and it succeeds. When I finally decide to leave, I do so reluctantly. I walk back toward the entrance, my eyes taking one last look at the soaring blue domes above. I step back into my shoes, the simple act feeling like a return to the ordinary world. As I emerge into the bright sunlight of the square, the sounds of the city rush back in, but the profound peace of the mosque lingers with me, a quiet echo in my mind. The experience was not about seeing a famous building, but about feeling the soul of a place designed for contemplation. Chapter 6. The Coppersmith's Courtyard. The Grand Bazaar is a city within a city, a sprawling covered labyrinth of over 4,000 shops. It's a place that can easily overwhelm the senses, a whirlwind of color, sound, and commerce. I've decided to explore it today, but not with the intention of shopping. I am searching for the quieter currents within this bustling ocean, the hidden corners where the true life of the bazaar continues as it has for centuries. I enter through one of the main gates, immediately enveloped by the energy of the crowd. The main arteries of the bazaar are bright and busy, lined with shops selling shimmering lanterns, colorful ceramics, and mountains of Turkish towels. The air is filled with the scent of apple tea being served to customers and the friendly, practiced chatter of the merchants. I let myself be carried by the human river for a while, admiring the beautiful arched ceilings painted with intricate designs. But this is not what I'm looking for. I am looking for the veins, not the arteries. I take a turn down a narrower, darker laneway, and then another. The crowds begin to thin. The shops become smaller and more specialized. Here, the focus is less on souvenirs and more on the raw materials of life. Shops selling nothing but buttons, stalls overflowing with leather hides, vendors specializing in gold thread. The light is dimmer, the atmosphere more serious. This is the working heart of the bazaar, and it feels more authentic, more real. Finally, I see an unassuming arched doorway that leads off the main path. There is no sign, just a dark opening. Driven by curiosity, I step through it and find myself in another world. I am standing in a small, sun-dappled courtyard, a historic Han. These were the original caravanserais, the inns where traveling merchants would stay with their goods and animals. This one is quiet, a hidden oasis of calm in the middle of the bazaar's delightful chaos. The courtyard is open to the sky, and a single gnarled tree grows in its center, providing dappled shade. Around the perimeter of the courtyard are 2 levels of workshops, their doors open to the air. The sounds here are different. The murmur of the crowd is gone, replaced by the rhythmic, metallic tapping of hammers. I have stumbled into a courtyard of artisans, a place where things are not just sold, but made. My attention is drawn to one workshop where an old man sits on a low wooden stool. He is a coppersmith. Before him, on a small anvil, rests a large, flat, circular copper tray. In one hand, he holds a small hammer, and in the other, a metal punch. He is completely absorbed in his work, his brow furrowed in concentration. His movements are economical and precise, born of a lifetime of practice. Tap, 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 a steady, hypnotic rhythm. I stand at a respectful distance, simply watching. I am not a customer, and I don't want to disturb his focus. He is not creating a simple object. He is engraving it with a story. With each tap of the hammer, a small crescent-shaped indentation appears on the gleaming surface of the copper. He works his way around the tray, creating an intricate, swirling pattern of leaves and vines. It is a slow, painstaking process, and there is a deep, meditative quality to it. The sunlight catches the surface of the copper, making it glow with a warm, rosy light. The air smells of polished metal and the faint, oily scent of the tools. I watch his hands, weathered and strong, moving with a sureness that is mesmerizing. In a world of mass production and instant gratification, this feels like an act of quiet defiance. It is a testament to the value of patience, skill, and the creation of beauty with one's own hands. After a long time, the coppersmith pauses. He looks up, not at me, but at his work, his eyes scanning the pattern with a critical but satisfied gaze. He seems pleased. He then notices me standing in the doorway. I expect him to try and sell me something, but he doesn't. He simply gives me a small, gentle nod of acknowledgement, a silent greeting from one quiet observer to another, before turning his attention back to his work. The rhythmic tapping begins again. I stay for a little while longer, absorbing the peaceful, industrious atmosphere of the courtyard. This, I think, is the true treasure of the Grand Bazaar. Not the glittering lamps or the soft carpets, but these hidden pockets of living history, these artisans who continue to practice their ancient crafts with quiet dedication. I leave the courtyard as silently as I entered, carrying with me not an object, but the memory of a sound, the steady rhythmic heartbeat of a coppersmith's hammer. Chapter 7. The Tulip Glass. After the enclosed labyrinthine world of the Grand Bazaar, I feel a need for open space and a wide horizon. I make my way to the waterfront and take a short bus ride along the shore of the Bosphorus. My destination is not a specific place, but a type of place, one that is essential to the daily life of Istanbul. I am looking for a traditional tea garden, a Coppersmith. I soon find a perfect one, a simple, unpretentious spot nestled under the shade of massive, ancient plane trees with an uninterrupted view of the water. I choose a small table near the edge of the garden where the gentle breeze from the strait can cool my face. The furniture is simple, a small metal table and a slightly wobbly chair. The ground is gravel, and the air is filled with the lazy buzzing of bees and the soft rustle of leaves overhead. The atmosphere is one of complete tranquility, a place where time seems to slow down to a more human pace. A waiter approaches, a young man with a friendly smile. I don't need a menu. There is only one thing to order. Bir K lütfen, I say, using one of the few Turkish phrases I have learned. One tea, please. He nods and soon returns with the iconic symbol of Turkish hospitality. It is not a mug or a teacup, but a small, clear glass with a narrow waist and a flaring rim, shaped like a tulip flower. The tea inside is a beautiful deep amber color, and it is served on a small matching saucer with a tiny spoon and 2 sugar cubes. I hold the glass by its rim as the locals do to avoid burning my fingers. The tea is hot, strong, and slightly bitter, a robust flavor that is surprisingly refreshing. I don't add sugar, preferring to taste it in its pure form. I take a slow sip, my gaze fixed on the Bosphorus. The strait is a constant parade of motion. A massive tanker glides silently toward the Black Sea, followed by a sleek, modern yacht. A traditional wooden fishing boat putters by, its owner tending to his nets. White passenger ferries crisscross the water, connecting the European and Asian shores. This tea garden is a microcosm of Istanbul life. At the table next to me, two old men are engaged in a serious game of backgammon, the sharp click of the checkers a rhythmic counterpoint to the gentle murmur of their conversation. A family is sharing a plate of simit, the children laughing as they feed crumbs to the sparrows that hop daringly close. A young couple sits holding hands, looking out at the water, their conversation quiet and intimate. It is a place for connection, for contemplation, for simply being. I take another sip of tea. The ritual of tea drinking here is not a hurried affair. It is an opportunity to pause, to take a break from the rush of life. It punctuates the day, offering moments of reflection and social connection. A glass of tea can be a prelude to a business deal, a companion to a friendly chat, or a solitary moment of peace. Watching the people around me, I realize that this simple, inexpensive drink is the social glue of the city. The sun begins to dip lower in the sky, casting a warm golden light across the water. The surface of the Bosphorus shimmers as if scattered with diamonds. The Asian shore on the other side is bathed in a soft, hazy glow. The beauty of the scene is simple but profound. It needs no embellishment. I feel a deep sense of calm settle over me, the kind of peace that comes from being completely present in a moment, my senses alive to the world around me. I finish my tea, leaving the tiny glass empty on its saucer. I could order another and another after that, as many locals do, spending the entire afternoon here. But for now, this one perfect glass has been enough. It has offered me more than just refreshment. It has given me a small window into the soul of Istanbul, a glimpse into the simple rituals that bind its people together and connect them to the magnificent waterway that defines their city. I pay the small bill and leave the garden feeling restored and peaceful. The memory of the experience is not just visual, the sparkling water, the passing boats, but also sensory. The warmth of the tulip glass in my hands, the strong, clean taste of the tea, the gentle sound of the backgammon checkers, the feeling of the sea breeze on my skin. It is a complete, perfect moment, a small, quiet jewel in the crown of my journey. Chapter 8. A Ferry Between Worlds. Today I want to experience the geography of Istanbul in the most fundamental way possible, by crossing it. The Bosphorus is not just a body of water that divides the city, it is the very reason for its existence. I walk down to the ferry terminal at Karakoy, a bustling hub of activity on the European side. I buy a small metal token, a jeton, and join the line of commuters, families, and students waiting to board the ferry to Karakoy, a large and vibrant district on the Asian shore. The ferry is a large, sturdy vessel built for function rather than luxury. It has an enclosed lower deck and an open-air upper deck. I immediately head upstairs, wanting to feel the elements. I find a spot on a simple wooden bench near the railing. The engines rumble to life, and with a deep blast of its horn, the ferry pulls away from the dock, leaving the European continent behind. The feeling of being on the water is instantly liberating. The city's noise and congestion fall away, replaced by the rush of the wind and the rhythmic slap of waves against the hull. I take a deep breath of the salty air. A man walks along the deck, selling fresh simmet from a tray. I buy one. It's still warm. A twisted ring of bread covered in toasted sesame seeds, and its chewy, slightly sweet taste is the perfect accompaniment to the journey. As we move toward the center of the strait, the perspective of the city changes dramatically. The iconic skyline of the old city, which I have seen from so many angles on land, now presents itself as a single magnificent panorama. The domes of the Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque, the slender needle of the Galata Tower, and the crenellated walls of the Topkapi Palace all seem to float on the water's edge. It looks less like a real city and more like a masterful painting. A flock of seagulls, masters of these fairy routes, begins to follow us. They soar and glide on the air currents created by the boat, their sharp, plaintive cries filling the air. Other passengers begin to tear off small pieces of their simmet and toss them into the air. The gulls are incredibly acrobatic, catching the morsels in midair with stunning precision. I join in, tearing off a piece of my own bread and watching as a gull swoops down to snatch it just feet from my hand. It's a simple, joyful interaction, a small connection between human and nature in the heart of this metropolis. I turn my gaze forward toward the approaching Asian shore. The landscape here is different. It's less monumental, more residential. The hills are covered with a dense patchwork of apartment buildings, parks, and the elegant minarets of neighborhood mosques. It feels softer, greener, more lived in. I am literally crossing from one continent to another, a journey that takes less than 20 minutes, but feels profound. This daily commute for thousands of Istanbulites is one of the most extraordinary in the world. This ferry is not a tourist cruise. It is a vital part of the city's public transport system, a floating bridge. I look at the faces of my fellow passengers. Some are on their phones, others are reading. Many are simply staring out at the water, lost in thought. They are crossing between their homes and their workplaces, between different parts of their lives. For them, this journey is routine, but I wonder if they ever lose the sense of wonder at the beauty that surrounds them. Now, as we near the Karakoi terminal, the Asian side reveals its own distinct character. A bustling market area near the waterfront, a beautiful historic train station, and streets filled with a youthful, energetic vibe. The ferry slows, its engines churning the water as it maneuvers toward the dock. The journey is almost over. This short trip has given me a clearer understanding of Istanbul's identity than any map could. The city is not Europe or Asia. It is the Bosphorus itself. The water is the space that connects and defines everything. We dock with a gentle bump, and the passengers begin to disembark. I linger for a moment on the deck, taking one last look back across the water at the European skyline, now shimmering in the distance. I feel a sense of balance, of having seen the city from its center. I step off the ferry and onto the soil of Asia, the taste of salt and sesame still on my tongue, the cry of the gulls still echoing in my ears. The journey was short, but the feeling it imparted of being suspended between two worlds will stay with me for a long time. Chapter 9. A Shadow on the Golden Horn. My time in Istanbul is drawing to a close, and I feel the need for a final contemplative walk to gather my impressions. As the late afternoon sun begins its slow descent, I make my way back to the Galata Bridge. It is more than just a bridge. It is a stage on which the daily drama of the city is played out, and I want to be part of its audience one last time. I decide to walk its length from the Karakoy side to Eminonu as the day transitions into evening. The upper level of the bridge is a hive of activity. It is lined on both sides with dozens of amateur fishermen, a quintessential Istanbul scene. They stand shoulder to shoulder, a diverse assembly of old men, young boys, and everyone in between. Their long fishing rods arch over the railing, their lines dropping into the waters of the Golden Horn below. There is a quiet, patient camaraderie among them. They chat softly, share cigarettes, and watch their lines with a hopeful, focused intensity. I walk slowly, my pace matching the unhurried atmosphere. I pause to watch one man as he expertly reels in his line. There is a small silvery fish glinting on the end of it, wriggling in the fading light. He unhooks it with practiced hands and drops it into a plastic bucket at his feet, where a few other small fish are already swimming. It is a small victory, but his face shows a quiet satisfaction. This is not about sport or commerce for most of them. It is a ritual, a form of meditation, a way to connect with the water that flows beneath their feet. The sun dips lower, nearing the horizon, and the light becomes magical. It is the golden hour. The sky is streaked with shades of orange, pink, and soft purple. This light bathes the entire city in a warm, ethereal glow. The stone of the Süleymaniye Mosque on the hill ahead seems to burn with an inner fire. The water of the Golden Horn reflects the colors of the sky, transforming it into a shimmering liquid canvas. It is a moment of transcendent beauty, and everyone on the bridge seems to feel it. The chatter subsides, and many people, fishermen included, pause to simply watch the spectacle. I lean against the railing, looking out at the old city. The silhouettes of the great mosques and palaces are stark and beautiful against the vibrant sky. The evening call to prayer begins, starting with a single voice from a nearby minaret and then joined by others, a wave of sound that washes over the city. The sacred melody, combined with the breathtaking sunset, creates a moment of profound, almost overwhelming peace. It feels like the city is singing itself to sleep. As the last sliver of sun disappears, the city's lights begin to twinkle on. One by one, the mosques are illuminated, their domes and minarets glowing like pale moons against the darkening sky. The lights of cars create rivers of red and white on the streets below, and the ferries on the water become floating constellations. The city has transformed, putting on its evening attire, and it is just as beautiful as it was in the daylight. I resume my walk, reaching the Eminonu side of the bridge. I look back at the Galata Tower, now lit up and standing as a proud sentinel over the northern bank. The fishermen are still there, their figures now just dark shadows against the bright lights of the city behind them. Their patient vigil continues into the night. I feel a deep sense of gratitude for having been able to witness these small, authentic moments of Istanbul life. I return to my apartment in Cihangir, the images of the evening still vivid in my mind. I begin the slow, methodical process of packing my leather satchel. I wrap my camera carefully, place my notebook on top, and fold my clothes. The small packet of saffron and the cinnamon sticks I bought at the Spice Bazaar go in a side pocket, tangible reminders of the sense of this place. The packing is not sad. It is a necessary part of the journey, a quiet ritual that signifies the end of one chapter and the anticipation of the next. Before closing my bag, I step out onto the small balcony one last time. The night air is cool. The city below is a tapestry of lights and soft sounds. I have only scratched the surface of this immense, complex, and beautiful city I know, but I have collected my own quiet corners, my own sensory memories, the taste of strong tea, the softness of a mosque's carpet, the rhythm of a coppersmith's hammer, the golden light on the water. These are the souvenirs I will carry with me. Chapter 10. The Scent of Saffron and Salt. The morning of my departure is cool and gray, a soft blanket of cloud covering the city. It feels appropriate, a gentle, muted farewell. I take one last look around Cihangir apartment, the space now empty of my presence, returned to its neutral state, ready for the next traveler. I close the door softly behind me, the click of the lock echoing in the quiet stairwell. The journey back to Sirkeci station is a reverse of my arrival, a slow retreat from the heart of the city I have come to know. Back at the station, the wanderer is waiting for me on the platform, its deep forest green and polished brass a familiar and welcoming sight. It looks like a loyal friend, patiently awaiting my return. I step aboard, and the scent of the carriage envelops me, the comforting, earthy smell of old books, polished wood, and worn leather. It is the scent of home, my moving sanctuary. I slide the window open, letting the sounds and smells of Istanbul in for a few final moments. The train pulls away from the platform with a barely perceptible jolt. There is no loud whistle, just a soft hum as the wheels begin to turn. I watch Sirkeci station recede, its grand facade a final poignant image of the city's past. The train gathers speed, and soon we are moving along the coast of the Sea of Marmara, the gray water stretching out to the horizon on one side, the ancient city walls passing by on the other. I settle into my favorite armchair, the one in my small seating area, and place my satchel on the floor beside me. I don't feel sad to be leaving. Instead, I feel a sense of fullness, of being enriched by the experiences of the past week. A journey is not about acquisition, but about exchange. I have left behind my footprints and taken with me a collection of moments, a new layer of understanding added to my own inner landscape. I reach into my satchel and take out my notebook. As I open it, a faint, exotic fragrance rises from the pages. It is the scent of the saffron and cinnamon I had tucked into the side pocket. It's a subtle but powerful reminder of the spice bazaar, of the mountains of color and the intoxicating aromas. The memory is so vivid that for a moment I am transported back to that bustling, fragrant hall. This is the magic of travel. It allows you to carry places within you long after you have left them behind. Here, I look out the window. The dense urban landscape of Istanbul is slowly giving way to its industrial outskirts and then to the open countryside of Thrace. The journey is coming full circle. I am once again crossing the bridge between Asia and Europe. But this time, I am carrying the essence of the city with me, the memory of the Bosphorus, the taste of salt from the sea spray on the ferry, the deep resonance of the call to prayer. All of it is now part of me. The rhythmic clickety-clack of the train on the tracks is a soothing, meditative sound. It is the pulse of the journey, a sound of constant, gentle progress. It encourages reflection. I think about the people I observed, the patient fisherman on the Galata Bridge, the master coppersmith in his quiet courtyard, the old men playing backgammon in the tea garden. Their faces, their focused movements, their quiet dignity, they are the true heart of the city. The soft glow of my small desk lamp fills the carriage as the gray afternoon light begins to fade. I feel a sense of deep peace. The wanderer is my constant, the quiet space that allows me to process and absorb the world I move through. It is both a mode of transport and a destination in itself. It is the shell that protects the pearl of the experience. The world outside the window changes, but the sanctuary within remains. I close my eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but to simply be. I am suspended in motion, moving towards a future destination that is still unknown. But I am not thinking about what comes next. I am here, in this moment, on this train, with the memory of Istanbul fresh in my mind. The soft spices, the ancient stones, the ever-present water. The journey continues, and I am ready for whatever it may bring, carrying the quiet echoes of the city on the two continents with me.